Hey everyone, Nubkeks here and welcome back to Heroes of the Storm. Today I've got a ranked game on Dragon Shire. Ends up being insanely close. It is crazy close. This particular game. This is from Team League, playing with sort of the regular 3-man team here. That's been in the last few videos. Yeah, Dragon Shire, very cool map as well. So I'm going to be talking about some of the rotations and like the big sort of macro plays. And it's funny enough, there's some pretty big mistakes that happen in the late game here in this particular video. So I'll kind of break that stuff down for you as we go through it. Enemy team is first pick, first ban, which is very powerful actually in the current meta because there's several heroes that are really good. Malthael, Genji, Uther, Anubarak, Dahaka as well. Really powerful on this map. So for Dragon Shire, really there's a few things you're looking for here. Globals are insane to give you that extra map control. Heroes that are good in late game, such as Malthael, also really good here because this tends to be one of the longest maps. The Dragon Knight is one of the most difficult objectives to secure, and it's also one of the weakest objectives in the game. Matches tend to go pretty long. So heroes that scale well over the course of the game can do really well. Heroes that are good in like 1v1 and skirmishes can do really well. Global heroes to control the points are fantastic. Ganking heroes can be okay too to try to actually pick off someone who's isolated. All that sort of stuff. So in this case, enemy team first picks Anubarak, best tank in the game, makes sense, really powerful in a number of different ways. I was thinking about what I should grab here, and I was humming and hawing about what hero I'd actually pick up. I've been hoping to get an Illidan video for you guys. I think in the last 3 now I've been hovering Illidan each time, and haven't actually got him. Certainly he's not a hero you want to pick up early on Dragon Shire, though with the hunt he does bring a cool little global. But we decide, our teammate was offering Uther, which is fantastic. I decide, you know what, we'll go for the Uther-Genji combo. Don't really want to leave Genji open for the enemy team. We could probably deal with it, but it's just a bit too much of a pain. Uther-Genji is a fantastic combo, fantastic synergy. Because it's Dragon Shire, we will get to that sort of mid-game power spike of Genji with Dragon Blade. We've got Uther who can enable it, so that should be really nice for us. The enemy team grabs and actually locks in Vala and Tassadar at this point, which is very cool for them. So that's a nice little combo. You know, Tassadar empowering the Vala. We're going to ban away Oriel, which is great. Definitely don't want to deal with that. Just, you know, especially with the Genji, because Genji's weakness, he's got very bad wave clear. His early game isn't as impactful. He's got really good rotations because he's so fast and can gank with kind of pretty much relative ease because you're able to swift strike out if you put yourself, you can dive in pretty deep and then swift strike out, which is kind of nifty. We definitely don't want to deal with, though, having to face into a Vala Oriel Tassadar push. That would just be crazy. They just go into one of the side lanes and just dominate, just push in and churn out tons of damage, start smashing down our structures, and we might not have the wave clear to actually be able to deal with that, which could be a problem. Enemy team, interestingly enough, really focusing on the solo laners here, removing Dahaka and Sonya, which is pretty intriguing. We're looking at getting an Artanis, which is kind of meh, in my opinion. Doesn't stand out to me as being too fantastic, but we shall see. It's kind of a blind pick, Artanis. Now, Sonya is a really good counter to Artanis, so that does open it up. But Artanis wouldn't really strike me as being a particularly good solo laner that you'd be jumping out of your pants to try to grab, if you know what I mean. We lock in the Greymane, which I think is great. He actually switches over to Tyrael, and I quite prefer that, actually, as a pick. I think that's pretty nice. We got the Tyrael to dive in with the Greymane as well. We can, you know, stack in vulnerabilities or, you know, chain in vulnerabilities, which could be really useful. And it's pretty nice. Tyrael could either be the main tank rotating with the team, or he could also be our solo laner, which is pretty cool. We're having Arthas. Arthas could also solo lane either, and Tyrael can rotate, or we could stick Tyrael in the solo lane. Could be pretty nice. So I actually quite like the composition that we've going on here. You know, Sanctification, throw it down with the Greymane going in, protects Uther, protects Tyrael, could even protect Genji a little bit, so that's pretty nice. Here we go. This is the big play from the enemy team, and I really like this twist. Karazim, pretty solid pickup. You know, it's not nowhere near as good as Oriel would be here, but he's a decent healer. He's going to be pretty safe from being picked off and killed himself. And he will provide the Earth ally to nullify a lot of the Greymaine's damage and even a bit of the Genji's. So it's kind of interesting. You know, Malfurion probably might have been better to fuel the Vala's mana and to silence the Genji when he tries to dive in, though we do have invulnerabilities to get rid of the silence. So that is something worth noting. And then the Chen, that's the really big twist here, the Chen, which I think is super cool for them. Chen is one of those heroes that was out of the meta for a long time, but has been coming back in. Mid-season brawls showed him come up in a big way. I'm pretty bad at Chen, I need to practice. I'm going to try to get you a Chen video soon, because I think Chen does have a place. And yeah, there are the drafts. We're ready to go, so I'll see you guys in the game. Alright guys, and here we are on Dragon Shire with Genji. So going into this early game, looking at the two compositions, what's really our game plan here? Well, if you look at our comp, we grabbed the Varian as our final pick to counteract both Chen and Tassadar. Varian's, what's it called? Shattering Throw talent at level 13 will help him bust down shields and do loads of bonus damage to shields, which will be great against Tassadar. Also really nice against Chen as well, help smash Chen's shields and get us a bit of an advantage. So we got that going for us once we get late game, right? But what it does mean for now is that our early game is pretty terrible, okay? So Varian obviously pretty weak in the early game until he picks up his class with his heroic. In this game will be Taunt. It's funny, we're actually joking about Twin Blades. I was kind of thinking, you know, Twin Blades would actually work pretty nice here. I think it would be totally fine. It's definitely regarded as by far, well, I think it is the most Varian is such an interesting hero, right, across the different leagues. I think in the lower leagues, it's just like Twin Blades all day long. And then with every league you go up, Twin Blades falls off massively, and then Taunt becomes the default, so that, you know, in Bronze, it's something like 90% Twin Blades, then 5% the other two. Whereas when you get up to, let's say, Master, Grandmaster, it's 90% Taunt, 5% the other two, maybe even more so, 95% Taunt, and then 5% split between the other two, which is, it's funny how that works. It's a really interesting case study of a hero and the different metas and understandings of the game across leagues. But he will be Taunt in this game. But Twin Blades would have worked. It would have been one of those rare cases where I think, you know, it actually makes sense for Twin Blades. You know, they don't have too much kill pressure. With parry, he can survive a very long time. They're very basic attack based. Kharazim, even Chen, Vala, Tassadar. He could tank through a lot of it without needing, you know, taunts. Just the parry by itself would help him survive, and the extra damage output would be pretty good against them. They're pretty melee stacked too, so kind of guaranteed damage. I think it would be okay. Anyway, that's the kind of a side note. But yeah, Varian is weak early in the game. Genji's not that amazing either. We don't have any solo laner that can actually compete with the Chen up top, and we've got to deal with the Vala Tassadar combo. So I mean, we've got a pretty bad early game here. It's really not going to go too well for us, and we're not looking for it to go too well. We'll certainly like poke at them, we'll pick fights when it makes sense to pick them, but we're not going to take any major risks, or at least we shouldn't take any major risks. For us with this composition, we're going, okay, level 10, Dragon Blade plus Divine Shield combo, Tyrael dives in with Sanctification, we've got Varian with his heroic, Greymane with like the burst damage to actually pick someone off. That is when we kind of hit our power spike and things start happening. So we're not really expecting or too worried if they don't happen before that. We want to play it pretty cool. That top lane is going to be a nightmare for us the entire game. Like Chen is going to wreck the Tyrael. There's no way around it. Luckily Chen is pretty slow at pushing the lane, so at least it won't be, you know, he won't be destroying the forts or anything. But Tyrael is certainly not going to be holding anything much against the Chen. Like he's just not going to be able to damage the Chen, so I mean, that's basically that, right? Nothing much is going to happen. You can see we're just like poking around, using our abilities, just doing, you know, kind of Genji things, going in fairly deep, deflecting against them, because only a Nubkeks can stop our deflect, at least right now. So we can go in and deflect and, you know, survive a little bit, then swift strike through them, do a bit of damage on our exit. At level 1, I did pick up Agile Dismount. So when we're mounted, it improves the range of our jump. This was a mistake for me, greedy back, and we almost died. We could have saved ourselves with W if needs be, but we're going to be okay from the Vala damage, it's not a problem. But yeah, Cyber Agility, it increases the range of it by 70% when we jump off of our mount, and it reduces the cooldown by half when we jump off our mount as well. So that just gives us a nice little bit of extra rotating, the ability to jump in and kind of pressure them with the deflect. Again, you know, things like Vala obviously hitting us, you know, Tassadar hits really fast, so he could trigger a lot of damage off of deflect. We get pretty good value off of that, so I think it's a pretty nice little talent to grab here at level 1. and it is the one I like playing with most often. Level 4 Shuriken Mastery, so this is a quest to hit enemy heroes with our Shuriken. When we've done it 35 times, increases the damage by 25. This did get nerfed in the last patch, so it's not as effective as it was, but it's not too big of a nerf. It's still a really good talent. And then after hitting 75 heroes, this is a big deal. Your Cyber Agility, your jump, will refresh 2 charges of Shuriken. When we combine this with Shingun at level 13, that's a lot of single target burst damage that we can pull off when we're in melee range. We're going to start channeling on this. I was hoping Karazim might go more aggressive on me there, so I popped Deflect. He didn't. But yeah, we're not really too committed to taking this Dragon Knight. We're not expecting to. But we're going to be able to bait them, hopefully, into a bad position here by channeling on it. Tastar's going to move in. You can see they're kind of having a bit of a panic to try to stop us grabbing this one. And hopefully putting themselves in a bad position. There's Tastar, he's kind of out of position. We're going to dive in after him, miss some Shuriken, actually a bit of a noob move, but some basic attacks, plus our teammates' help. We're able to focus him down and get the kill, which is great. Just punishing him kind of a bit for that overextension. I got a bit too greedy there, actually. That's a mistake for me, focusing on channeling the Dragon Knight. Wanted to distract them. We should have turned around and focused fire on the Anubarak, I think, in that situation. Maybe got a return kill for Varian, who was getting a little bit low. So yeah, that was a mistake there, over committing to trying to take the DK. Whoopsie daisies, not, that was, yeah, seeing that in hindsight, definitely not my finest hour, but we'll live with it. Level 7 is pretty interesting. Dodge did just get nerfed in the last patch. And certainly in this game, we're not going to take it, right, because they've got a Tassadar, and Chen could well go for, you know, Storm, Earth, and Fire, the Panda Pals, which would also shred through our dodge stacks without much value. So we're not going to take dodge in this game. Going to go for perfect defense in this game instead, which, excuse me, as we take damage with deflect, it will reduce the cooldown by 2 seconds. So that will give us a much shorter deflect cooldown when we get good value out of that. It's normally 16 seconds, so example right there, I think we got a 10-second cooldown on deflect, which is okay. It can be up to 10-second cooldown reduction, which is kind of nice. It can be very difficult to actually get value out of this talent, but when it does work, it can work nicely. And just, you know, I think Cyber Shield is really good too, which is when you use Cyber Agility, you get 50 spell armor. That also works really well with Agile Dismount, which reduces the cooldown of your Cyber Agility. Nice synergy there. But I mean, looking at the enemy team, they just don't have much spell damage, so there's not really any point. Like, they've got a bit, but nothing too much to worry about. We're going to channel on that shrine, then jump out before we get, before you get stunned and take a bad trade. No need to go in too much, but there's nothing else to do except to, channel on it. Might as well distract them a little bit. Wasting some of Anubarak's mana. Didn't really cost us anything. So, that's a fine trade for us to take. And we're just poking away here. The enemy team has a lot of shields to bust through. So whenever one of their heroes, doesn't have a shield up, that's when we'll try to punish them here as Genji with some basic attacks and throw some hits in against them. But we're not expecting too much to happen. They've got level 10 a little bit before us. We've actually held up pretty well in terms of XP. But now we've got level 10 and we can start picking fights with them a little bit more. Unfortunately, you can probably see that the heroic choices there. One of the things I mentioned could be really good for us is not there, which was the Dragon Shield and Dragon Shield combo. There you go, Dragon Shield. Dragon Blade plus Divine Shield. U3 actually took Divine Storm. Obviously not, I figure he picked it up because he's not confident about whether he and Tyrael can synchronize their heroics together, which I understand, right? They're kind of worried that he'll pop Divine Shield and Tyrael will pop Sank at the same time. Now, Dragon Shield would definitely be the best thing for us to get in this game. Nice Divine Palm by Karazim right there. Trying to get in position to focus down this Valak, but Cocoon comes out. And that's one of the problems, is without Divine Shield, we can just get Cocooned by Anubarak. And as Genji with Dragon Blade, we're not going to be in Sanctification, so we really would have liked to have Divine Shield here to enable that Dragon Blade. It makes the game actually a lot more difficult for me. The Divine Storm not going to help me too much. They're both really good talents. But yeah, I think Divine Shield would have been a much better choice in this game to empower the Dragon Blade in particular, and then also in the off chance to empower Greymane as well. But particularly Dragon Blade, because we are by nature diving the enemy team when we do so. We're not going to really be in Sanctification too much, so I don't think the danger of overlapping is that bad. And yeah, you can see that, you'll see throughout this game that pretty much every time we pop Cocoon, Anubarak is very often on point, and he is going to just, to prevent us from doing that. Watch this, watch these. You see those shuriken? Beautiful. We manage expertly. Nubkeks manages to throw shuriken on both sides of a Nubkeks, just lightly grazing, just this light gust of wind as the shuriken fly on both sides of a Nubkeks' gigantic body, and he actually gets the channel on the DK as our teammates arrive to continue the interrupt. So that's a mistake from me. Missed the shuriken. I've not been too on point with the shuriken in this game. You can see that we did deflect 700 damage there, which is pretty good. But yeah, kind of messing those up a little bit. So the enemy team just get a DK. We are putting on a good defense though with Genji. And, you know, with Variant, we got a nice, and Greymane in particular, we got a very nice team for actually defending against this. You can see just Genji things, jump into the middle of the enemy backline, pop deflect, then E back through it, just distracting them while the Dragon Knight is taking loads of damage on our front line there. And just absorbing, basically kind of pseudo-tanking right there. Because we know that the enemy team doesn't have many stuns to stop us, so we can kind of go in with impunity, soak up their attention for a few seconds, and then simply swift strike out, and oh no, their Dragon Knight has died in the meantime while they were distracted hitting me. Tassadar goes deep, we're going to jump in, focus him down, but he will survive, of course, he's Tassadar. And the game is kind of equalized here. They didn't get much out of that Dragon Knight. This would have been potentially an opportunity to invade. I think it was pretty telegraphed that they were going for their siege camp, just the flow of the map, right? You get in tune with the flow of how these things go, and it just felt like, oh yeah, the enemy team is going to be doing this. We pick up Shingen, so we're going to go in deep here against Tassadar, bursting around a couple of Shingen, and then he just stands still. I think maybe his E was just not off of cooldown from when we attacked him earlier, so he way overstays, and we get a free kill on Tassadar, which is fantastic. Thank you very much, Tassadar. The power of Shingen there. And we've also finished Shuriken Mastery now, so we've got loads of burst damage we can do with our Shuriken. And we get ourselves a nice kill, finish him off with Swift Strike, and then Swift Strike back out to safety with the reset afterwards. So that worked out pretty great. Free kill for us. Unfortunately, there's no shrines, so we can't turn it into a DK, but we are going to be able to push down these structures and start smashy smashy. Smashy smashy, smashy smashy. I kind of like hitting the gates because they're easy to hit with the Shingen. You get the damage proc, and you want to smash the gates eventually anyway. So yeah, we get to smash, like ironically there, that Tassadar kill translated into, you know, 2 towers in the front gate, plus a little bit of damage on the fort, plus the healing fountain. Whereas the Dragon Knight that the enemy team got earlier actually only got, I think, 1 tower and some damage on maybe the other tower in the gate. We got so much more out of that kill than we did with the Dragon Knight, and that's kind of the thing with Dragon Shire, is the objective is relatively weak, which is funny. Vala's going to hit us with damage. We're going to pop Protective. We do get stun locked. We're going to be able to Swift Strike out, but do take a big chunk of damage. Tap our well to heal up here. And we're considering a fight at this point. That was nice, actually, from... the Kharazim has been on point with those Divine Palms. Try and do what damage we can here, but they've got a lot of stuns, and we're just not able to go in. I should have probably popped... That was an interesting one. Probably could have popped Dragon Blade earlier there. But with the Nubkeks being out of position, I wanted to try burst him down as quickly as possible with the Shingen. I think it's better single target focus fire. So I wanted to do that and then use my Dragon Blade when we burned our Shuriken charges. That was the thought process there. I think I should have been more aggro with maybe a Swift Strike to try actually kill that Nubkeks before they could heal him up with the Divine Palm. It was close. It was close, but that was not a very effective Dragon Blade that time around, unfortunately. Nonetheless, we do manage to push the enemy team back. We did ultimately kill Tassadar, and we're able to translate that into some big, pretty big damage right here. Almost killed the Vala. I think if we'd actually landed that Swift Strike, we may have killed her. And you can see, like, the reason I'm doing these random hops with Cyber Agility is, of course, from finishing that level 4 quest, Shuriken Mastery. Each time we do, it gives us 2 charges of Shuriken back. So that's what's going on there. Level 16, I go for Final Cut here, which is, you know, when we Swift Strike, it leaves this AoE thing on the ground. There it is, which will do a burst of damage afterwards. I think it's just pretty useful overall, just for a nice little bit of extra damage. We're getting, like, stunned by everything here. I'm being chased down by Chen. We actually die right at the start of our Swift Strike animation. The cooldowns and our HP not cooperating, and yeah, just as we're... Oh, like, if we had enough HP, or if that cooldown had been half a second earlier, we'd had enough HP to survive half a second more, we would have escaped there, and it would have been nice. Nonetheless, well played by the team. They get 2 kills. So even though I die, the team pulls through. They do a great job, and 2 kills for us, Dragon Knight for us, and this is fantastic. Niku in control of the Dragon Knight, and he is making a beeline for the enemy keep. We do have a talent advantage for at least a second more. It's not really going to matter. They have 16 to defend here, but we should be in a good spot to actually translate this into a pretty big advantage. We want to open up the bottom lane. Well, whichever lane it happens to be. Mid lane is okay too. The bottom lane is probably the best one on this map because it has the most merc camps on it. Top lane is horrible because you got that bridge. You can't really win the game through there. But you can see here we're powering through. The respawn timer is working in our favor, and the Dragon Knight's doing huge damage to the keep. We're actually going to see this in this game. I think it's one of the big weaknesses of particularly lower league players. They miss out on so many opportunities to end the game. I mean, we've had situations like that before, right? Where I've been talking about this. We go in to try to kill the Tassadar, we get cocooned. It's so frustrating. No Dragon Blade for us. But yeah, people don't understand when they can actually end the game. So this is pretty risky to try to kill the Chen. I'm not sure we can pull it off. Ooh, Genji almost gets him. We hit him with the Swift Strike, but that does actually proc a Divine Palm from Karazim, so we don't get the kill, and then we're stuck in a pretty rough spot. I think we wanted to run away in that situation. I don't think we had enough to keep pushing in. A little bit greedy to go for the Chen, and it's going to cost us Varian's life here. Let me finish that previous thought. Lower league players often don't know how to end the game. We've even seen this. I think I've had a couple of videos on Warhead Junction in my games playing with high level people, but particularly with like pro players. Like I think there was one game on Warhead that I had recently. I can't remember what hero I was playing, but we had Poik on our team, who is obviously a professional player in the EU HTC. And in that game, he was like, yeah guys, we have enough to finish the game, let's go. And he had it perfectly calculated, and like I hadn't realized, and a lot of our other teammates hadn't realized, but we did just have enough to actually win the game. So we secured a win just simply because he knew, because he's that high level of a player, that we had the game-ending opportunity there, that we had that advantage to push. It's often what we see, particularly like in like say bronze or silver is a great example, where people, you know, they wipe the entire enemy team and then they just go up and start like clearing every single fort and every single keep. They don't go core and win the game. But I think really between every single level of play, from, you know, bronze up to Grandmaster and then up to pro players above that even, there is that little bit of lack of knowledge as to sort of the advantages you can press. So the more and more you understand that, the more you can raise your level, the level of your game. It's always something that I try to work on as well, understanding when you can push your advantages. I think that was a great example there. Niku understanding, we can get their keep here, let's go. Smash through it with the Dragon Knight, and that's a keep for us, which is a nice lead here on Dragon Shire. Now we're approaching level 20, and we realistically probably want to wait for level 20 before we pick a fight. I'm just going to poke in here with my stuff. Uther actually goes in deep and actually pops this heroic, so we have to engage this fight. Didn't want to fight, was just poking his Genji. We had our E to get back out again, but it works out, and we're picking this fight right before level 20. This is actually fantastic for us. Actually, well played by the team, recognizing we could get that. Tassadar goes down. Vala is down. This is great news for us. I want you to watch the mini-map now and watch what happens with Tyrael, because this is the throw I am talking about. Okay, remember what I was saying? People don't push their wins. Win condition right now, Tyrael runs, grabs DK, and pushes core. Open core, they're dead for 30 seconds on their two biggest damage heroes. Instead, he's clearing minions in the top lane. Question mark. Do we need XP? No, we're level 20. Do we need to destroy that fort? No, we're level 20 and we're on the core. Okay, he's finally moved over to the DK. We're still near core. He stops channeling the DK to clear out the minions. I think he actually stopped to grab a regen globe for his level 1 quest because he took regen master. I'm assuming that's probably what he did. See what's going on now? We're still fighting on core. We're still doing this. We still have level 20 advantage. The core shields are down. And the Dragon Knight has been, this time, focusing that mid fort. He starts moving down, but now it's too late. That Dragon Knight could have been here and moving onto the core and getting substantial core damage. Instead, he stopped to take just clear minion waves that don't matter. He stopped to grab a regen globe that doesn't matter. He stopped to fight the mid fort, which doesn't matter at all. And all that sort of stuff potentially cost us a win right there. We could have potentially gone to core. We smashed the shields, which is a third of its HP, before the Dragon Knight even got there. If the Dragon Knight had arrived on time, could punt some of the enemy heroes away, keep us alive a little bit longer. We could have potentially transitioned that into a core attempt, which, you know, at the very least, the rest of us could have run away. And hey, if Tyrael dies, Tyrael dies. It's still great core damage, and we should be able to defend and then put us in a great position to end the core, even without a DK moving forwards. But c'est la vie. So it's not over now, and now we're stuck in a bad spot. Really? We're still ahead, sure, However, the enemy team does have level 20, so no talent advantage for us anymore. That's gone. That opportunity's gone. They're down a keep, but only one keep. So this is still really anyone's game at this point. This is a super close game. The enemy team could still easily win this. They're at a slight disadvantage, and we're actually lucky we have all of our forts up, but yeah, that Fala build is awful. Oh my god, it's like, let's make the worst build possible. But yeah, like, all they need really is, like, if they win the team fights, they're golden. Look at this mistake here. I thought it was derpy by me. At the same time, Tyrael missed Sanctification, which meant that our other heroes died. Uther was in a cocoon. The Sank missed Greymane, and Greymane was simply killed. And that's like 5 of us dead. This is the problem. Uh-oh. Enemy team is level 20. They're pretty much equal to us in a team fight. What happens if they win the team fight? Uh-oh, not good. The mistake I made in that one was I assumed that, much like, say, Sylvanas Qs, or a lot of other heroes, that if you hold down the button, it would just kind of cast your ability on cooldown. Like Sylvanas Qs, you just hold it down, it will just spam out the Qs. I thought that would happen with Dragonblade, and I chose a very poor time to test it out, apparently, because I just stood there for a couple of seconds not using it. It does not work if you hold down the Q button. You have to press it individually every single time, so you kind of want to spam that button. Lost out in some DPS because of that. I think the fight was kind of lost regardless. See, at this point as well, it's kind of going, wait a second, I finally worked out why I never have Divine Shield. He's got Divine Storm, oh no. Which is unfortunate. To be fair, he was in the cocoon, so he would have been pretty late to Divine Shield this regardless. Yeah, this is pretty rough. Luckily, enemy team's Tassadar is making the same mistake that our Tyrael made. If Tassadar had gone with his team there, they would have smashed that keep sooner. They probably could have gone on core, and I mean, they've got Shen, they've got short cooldowns on Divine Palm and Cocoon. I think they could probably have gone core. There's a good opportunity that they could have won the game right here. Now, it's still not too bad for them. They've basically totally equalized this game. They're ahead a bit even in XP, and therefore level scaling. But yeah, I thought that was so funny. The Tyrael makes the mistake of not committing to his team pushing in, and then the Tassadar does the exact same thing. He's not there to help his team, and the most they can get out of it is a keep, instead of potentially being able to just simply win the game off of that team fight, which was huge for them. I mean, winning just like killing 5 heroes with 5 of your heroes still alive, late game, you should nearly always win. Would have been close for them because they had to smash a fort and a keep, so that was pretty lucky for us that they hadn't destroyed it earlier in the game. If they had destroyed a fort, they would have won. But luckily, they had to go through the fort first. I'm pretty sure you have to destroy the fort and the keep to open up the core. I could be wrong. I think you do. Something I don't really know. You don't see it that often. Huh, funny. You guys let me know in the chat. I'm sure you guys will know the rules better than I would. But yeah, now we're in a totally even situation. Both teams open on the bottom. DK through the bottom lane is basically a win for either one. Level 22 to 22. And most worryingly, the last time we had a team fight, we lost. Like, really badly. Really badly. So it's kind of going, okay, how do we deal with this? What do we do? This is scary. This is very scary. We've got control of the top beacon. Bruiser camps smashing into each other. Tyrael engaging a fight. My nose is getting itchy. I need to sneeze. Ugh. We go in behind. We spot the Vala out of position and we actually kill her. So this is good. We actually kill the Vala early on. The enemy team comes to dive after us. Haha, fooled you all. We swift strike back through them, back towards our team. Join up with them. Good force wall by Tassadar. We're kind of chasing here. Enemy team is disengaged, so I suppose we'll use the end of Dragon Blade to kill this Merc camp. And this is nice. Here we go. This is going to be probably game for us. Vala is no, it's definitely game for us. Vala's dead. This time, I'm like, not giving this to Tyrael. Tyrael might be eyeing up those keeps, going, hey, let's take these keeps. We're going to get the Dragon Knight, make a beeline for this bottom lane. We're going straight on that core. They're down Vala, their main damage dealer. Just a Flame Breath, the Dragon Knight as we go. Perfecto. We're going to go in here on the core. Gonna punt on the Chen just to knock him away. Also, just get us to that core a little bit quicker. Don't really want Vala to be alive or anything. Thanks very much. Flame Breath, and we're just going to right-click the core. Flame Breath doing a little bit of wave clear, doing a bit of damage to their heroes too. Why not? Punt the Chen away just to remove him. He's a little bit annoying. And there you go. The core is going down very quickly. Dragon Knights absolutely destroyed this late in the game. And yeah, we are going to claim the victory here. I have the talent build coming up now after the game in a second, but I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I thought it was so interesting. I thought this was so interesting. It's such a close game. And it was kind of intriguing to see, you know, I thought, you know, the Divine Shield, Cocoon, Dragon Blade interactions, or lack thereof in this game was kind of interesting, just on like a Genji level, right? and on like a team comp level as well. Kind of like our difficulty in the early game, then transitioning into a better mid game with our mid game power spikes. Kind of playing around the stuff on Dragon Shire as well. Kind of the weaknesses of the Dragon Knight, and then like the big macro mistakes of not committing to ending the game when you guys have big game-ending opportunities. So yeah, I thought it was pretty funny. So yeah, I mean, there you go. Also, Tyrael took Nullification Shield against a team with almost no magic damage, which is weird. But there you go. Guys, talent build should be up on the left. Buttons to subscribe and stuff like that should be on the right. Another video you might enjoy. I hope you enjoyed this one. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and I'll see you all next time for more Heroes of the Storm. Bye-bye.